Let's be honest, eye contact stresses us out. Am I doing it right? Do I seem awkward? It's one of the most common things that people ask me about. You worry that you looked away too soon, and then you replay it in your head, wondering if you came across as insecure. This video breaks down the psychology behind eye contact, what's normal, what's not, and how to use it in the way it's meant to work. This way, you can interact without second guessing yourself. But before we can change how we feel about eye contact, we need to understand why it feels so intense in the first place. So, I'm a clinical psychologist, and starting maybe 15 years ago, I would take people out on the street to work on exposure therapy for eye contact. So, these were people who had discomfort when they made eye contact. So, our goal was to go out and make eye contact with as many people as we could, get used to the feeling, and no longer be too concerned about it. What happened was completely different. We could not get anybody to make eye contact with us. My goal with this was to make people feel less anxious about eye contact. It worked because people were very happy to realize that people weren't actually trying to make eye contact with them all the time. The process of connection with other people is that we start far away, both physically and psychologically. And over time, connection is this process of moving closer and closer, kind of slowly. That's generally how connection works. Making eye contact is a way of getting closer. So that itself feels vulnerable to us, and we want to regulate safety. We don't want to feel vulnerable to strangers because we don't know, is this person going to socially injure us? Are they going to reject us? Are they going to criticize us? So, for example, think about when you feel embarrassed or vulnerable. What's the first thing you do? Well, you probably look down. You look away. You don't look people in the eyes. That's a way of creating that safety through creating the distance. It's stressful being too close to people, whether it's physically or whether it's psychologically through eye contact. So, of course, direct eye contact feels uncomfortable. And of course, we have the natural need to look away as a way to bring that stress down and create more safety. When you meet eyes with someone across a crowded room, even though you're far away, the fact you're making eye contact makes them feel much closer and much more intimate. Or think of it on the other side. When you get on a train in New York City and somebody is right here, you're holding things right here. You are physically really, really close. The last thing you're going to do is make eye contact. Because you're so close, what we do, we look as far away from that person as possible. Because we are creating psychological distance even though we're physically close. So we're using eye contact to regulate how close someone feels. All think about elevators, right? We're in close quarters, we don't know each other, we don't look at each other, we look up at the number or we stare at our phones. So again, being in New York City, there are people absolutely everywhere. And so you get really good at not looking in the eyes of people. Maybe in small towns, maybe you connect with people. Maybe you say hi. Here, you just need to disconnect to the point where when I'm out and about, in order to create that psychological space to not feel overcrowded, I have sunglasses on. I put headphones in. I am disconnected from people. You'll notice that with loved ones, people you feel really close and connected with, it's easier to make direct eye-to-eye contact. It's the same as how it's easier to be physically close to them. It's easier to be psychologically close through eye contact. In fact, if you look at parents with their newborn young kids, they will gaze at each other. It's not stressful to them. They can feel how that's bringing them closer. And ideally, we want to be in a place where we have people in our lives who we can make eye contact with. And We feel comfortable because we're happy being that close to them. Breaking eye contact regularly does not mean you lack confidence, does not mean you're insecure. It means you are in the moment, choosing to regulate the distance. A lot of people think they're bad at eye contact just because they look away. But in many cases, breaking eye contact is exactly what's supposed to happen. You're breaking eye contact because it is a time where you need to create distance. Sometimes it's as simple as you need to break eye contact to look away because that actually helps us process information better. That's why we look away more often while talking. But other times you need to break eye contact because the other person is looking too much. The other person is making too much eye contact and it's uncomfortable. Hope and I went to a furniture store a couple of weeks ago, and the designer there who was talking to us, she was one of those people that makes too much eye contact. She was breaking the basic rule of eye contact, which is when you speak, you look away a lot of the time and then you just look back to check in and see if it's making sense. Because the person who's listening, we need to show that we're listening by making eye contact a lot of the time. So it looks like this. The designer is supposed to talk, check in. Instead, she was just talking, looking the whole time, and we were looking the whole time. The designer wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. So that meant Hope and I had to figure out how do we regulate space and make this comfortable even though she keeps looking at us too much. Hope said the way that she handled this was she would look down and touch the fabrics, or she would turn and look at me regularly. So that was allowing her to disconnect. I didn't do that. I looked away a little bit, but what I did as a way of creating distance was I kept some eye contact, but I flattened my facial expressions and I didn't do all the nods and smiles and encouragements. I was more flat. And that way I could have eye contact with still having some distance. In Seinfeld, there is a very famous episode about a guy who was a close talker, and you probably remember this. Basically, the person was standing way too close, and it makes everyone feel uncomfortable because we have personal space and we don't want somebody to intrude in our personal space. We get uncomfortable. Eye contact works the same way. We don't want people making too much eye contact with us too soon. It feels like they're invading our personal space. So the people that make too much direct eye contact are the close talkers of the eye contact world. Think of every second that you make direct eye contact, you are moving closer to somebody. You need to look away, otherwise you are hitting each other psychologically. So some people do make a lot of eye contact and it basically feels like they're just coming close and close to us. We've got to find ways of backing away. If somebody's a close talker, we will take a step back. We'll turn our body. If somebody makes too much eye contact, we will have to break away in order to create comfort. We sometimes feel bad because we're like, oh, I'm breaking eye contact. That must mean I'm insecure or lacking in confidence. No, we are doing the job of regulating the space. Nothing wrong with that. That's us doing good social skills. But there's another reason eye contact can feel so uncomfortable, and it has nothing to do with what the other person is doing. Nobody comes to me complaining that they keep breaking eye contact with people who are trying to stop them on the street to sign a petition or give them money or something. We are totally fine breaking eye contact in that situation. If we feel like we're having trouble with eye contact, it's because there's a part of us that actually does want to move closer to somebody. So we protect ourselves by avoiding the intimacy of eye contact, but we also remain more distant than we really want to be. What is normally going on here is there's a conflict between different parts of us. There's one part of us that wants to connect, And then there's another part of us that is trying to protect us because it doesn't feel safe. It's afraid of rejection. It's afraid of being criticized or judged. We are built for this. We are built to want to connect with people, but we're also built with a part of us whose job is to try to protect us from social injury. We're just trying to figure out how do we balance this so that we can move closer to people and connect without getting ourselves hurt or injured. So, what do we do in this situation? Well, good news is that science has some ideas for how we can get better at making eye contact to connect with people, but without it feeling as stressful for us. So, I'm going to try to get some of the ideas across by using these diagrams. I'm sure you've noticed that visual information can sometimes help us learn, which takes me to the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that builds practical skills across logic, data science, maths, science, programming, even AI. I really like that you learn by doing. So these are quick visual problems where you get instant feedback and that helps the concept stick. If you want a place to start, you could try data analysis. This skill is really useful for understanding research, or maybe look at logic, which plays a strong role in the cognitive therapy that I do. And doing that on Brilliant, I can tell you, is a lot more fun and visual than the boring logic classes I went to in college. You can practice with hands-on lessons wherever you are using your computer or your phone. Brilliant can help you to learn the foundations of these topics and then build up skills over time. To learn for free on Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/DomusSmithyman or scan the QR code on screen or click on the link in the description. Brilliant is also giving our viewers a 20% off an annual premium subscription, and this gives you unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant. Okay, now let's level up to the more advanced understanding of low-stress eye contact techniques. So, back to the diagram. We're trying to find ways of having more eye contact so we can connect better with people, but without it feeling as stressful for us. We don't need to hyper-focus on the middle of somebody's eyeball in order to have direct eye contact. We know from research that there is something called a cone of direct gaze. And you can see it in this diagram here. What this means is that we can look in a whole host of different areas and people will still perceive it as though we're making direct eye contact. The classic thing is look right here between the eyes. But we can look here, we can look here, we can look here, we can look here, or here, or here. All of these things will still be perceived by most people as direct eye contact, and it's way less stressful for us. We could even say that our goal is to make face contact rather than eye contact. So when we look at this in research, what you find is people don't just stare at eyeballs. A lot of times we're looking at people's mouths. Some of us look at males maybe even more than eyes. So what people sense as eye contact, good eye contact, is really a lot of times just looking at the face. So feel free to look at the eyeballs some of the time, but feel free to look at the mouth as well. I personally look at people's mouths a lot while listening because I'm doing a bit of lip reading because my hearing is not great. And I think a lot of people do this as well. Notice for yourself next time you are talking to someone, how much do you look at the eyes and the eye area and how much do you look at the mouth? I think people are surprised how often they're actually making mouth-eye contact. So another way that you can make better eye contact that isn't as stressful is to make more frequent eye contact. So people have this idea that making good eye contact means the duration. So for how many seconds you're making eye contact. But when we look at research into indicators that somebody finds us attractive, yeah, The person who finds us attractive makes longer eye contact, but they also make more frequent eye contact. So, this is another way of improving your eye contact. You don't have to look for long periods of time. If that feels uncomfortable, look away. Just look back more often. And that is a classic flirtation signal, by the way. If you look, then look away, and then look, and then look away. That's classic flirtation because it's a mixed signal. I'm getting close, I'm backing away. I'm getting close, I'm backing away. It is natural and expected to feel stress when you're making eye contact with people, and it's also natural to want to still connect with people. So try these two ideas. Make shorter but more frequent eye contact and then look in that cone of direct gaze and feel free to look at the mouth or other parts of the face. So here's the thing. Breaking eye contact does not mean you're insecure. It means you are regulating how close or far you feel from someone. And here's where it gets tricky. You can be doing everything right. You can be smart, kind, attractive. People will still pull away. And why? Well, because underneath the surface, our brains have ancient systems that act like eject buttons. And the moment they get tripped, the vibe shifts and connections shut down. Oftentimes without either person fully realizing why. So, in this next video, I'm going to show you exactly what those systems are and how they get triggered. So, if you've ever had someone lose interest and you couldn't figure out what went wrong, you need to see